It's a 2 RBI double for Jaden Greenidge, and the Lions take an early 2-run lead.
And once again, the Lions strike early. We saw it in game number 1. They were the one that scored first, getting a 1-0 lead. Greenidge right there just getting it down that third base line for an extra base hit, bringing home 2 runs, giving Lincoln a 2-0 lead. And they get an early start against Gerard Santos with that 2-run double. Santos' first pitch is hit a mile high into shallow right field. Palermo on the run, makes the play. Greenidge will not tag up from second base. He'll hold there. As quickly retired. Now it's 2 outs in the inning. So I'll bring up Jeffrey Ascona now. With the runner on second, still 2 outs in the inning. Our camera shot is now fixed, thanks to Joe, who quickly ran over to make sure that we are good.
Our camera angle has been restored. Don't say that I overstated the win factor today, Nick.
Keep tallying it up.
Though, I think we could be a bit to the left more. Is that sliced toward our camera? Foul ball.
That one I grinned a little bit. It was a soft foul ball behind the plate, but still could still do some damage.
Santos quickly ahead, 0-2 on Jeffrey Ascona. And that's it out to right. Battling the sun on that play was Palermo, but he does make the catch for the final out of the inning. But not before the Lions take an early lead for the second consecutive game. They led by 1 after the first inning in Game 1. They lead by 2 after a half inning of play here in Game 2. G Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex where the Dolphins face an early deficit for the second straight game. And Nick, according to the stats we have Jaden Randolph as number 5. He is on the online statistics as number 35, so it is not a season debut as we thought during the break. Randolph has pitched this year. He's appeared in 6 games, including 2 starts, has pitched to a 17.36 ERA with a whip of 3.21. In 9 1/3, he's allowed 16 hits, 23 runs, 18 of those earned. He's walked 14 and struck out 3. Opposing batters hitting at 400 against him.
I think for Lincoln, they want to hold on to this lead. Obviously, we saw what happened in game number 1 between the two teams. But if they want to hold on to this lead, they'll obviously need a good outing from Randolph here. But they also need to limit their errors. As we mentioned, they had 6 errors in that first game between the two teams. And obviously, that's not going to help your opportunity to win the game. And they need to limit those here in game number 2. They want to have a chance to at least split the first doubleheader of this series this week.
Now, something to keep in mind. We do have a number 35 on our roster. That would be Dominic Smithers. He is not listed on the online statistics as a pitcher. He is listed on the roster as an infielder. So we just have to assume that the roster we have is correct and that the roster online with, well, actually, those are Randolph's stats from last season. Let's get his stats from this season. That's the mistake here. So when you go on Lincoln's website, the stats default to 2023, which I was told earlier. So I should have updated numbers for Randolph in a moment.
Time was called at the plate.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot click. Let's try one more time. There we go. All right, so I do have updated stats for Randolph from this year. Those numbers I gave were from last season. He is listed as number 5 on the stats this year, so I found him correctly. He comes in with a 12.71 ERA, a 2.59 whip, an 0-2 record across 5 appearances and 4 starts. In 17 innings, he's allowed 24 hits, 26 runs, 24 of those earned. He's walked 20 and struck out 8. Opposing batters hitting .343 against him as Michael Keogh hits one a mile high out to center field. And the catch is made out in center by Shepard for the first out.
Keogh hitting that one into the toughest part of the field in terms of where the ball's being hit today. Obviously, in right field, a lot of the hits have happened for these two teams. And Keogh just unfortunately hit that one into dead center, first out of the inning.
A.J. Vigliotti on deck, back in number 22 for this game. As that's popped up, should land in front of us.
Now you said he was he wasn't 22 the last game?
He wore 44.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So in that particular jersey colorway, I think they had a jersey sizing error, which forced him to wear 44.
Oh. I did not notice that the entire game, huh?
You were so used to seeing him in 44 last season.
I was, you're right.
0-1 the count on Brian Burkhead, and he slices one foul.
So Burkhead exit early in game number 1, was replaced by Anthony Iracy in the outfield. Now gets to start once again here in game number 2.
Burkhead behind 0-2. And that's chopped over the mound towards short. And they're not going to have a play on Burkhead over at first, as he's on with a 1-out infield single.
Nice piece of hitting right there from Burkhead, getting that one up the middle. And as you mentioned, no chance of a play right there for any of the Lions right there to make the out. So the Dolphins now bring the tying run to the plate in Vigliotti.
Vigliotti comes to the plate with a runner on and 1 out. In game 1, A.J. was 4 for 5 with 4 runs scored and an RBI. Also drew a walk. First pitch on its way, and that's in for a called strike.
Breaking ball on the first pitch of the at-bat from Randolph right there. Trying to fool Vigliotti.
Randolph checks the runner at first. Comes the 0-1. That's in the dirt. Not looking good for my Phillies, Nick. It's now 6-2.
Oh, boy. It's 2-0 going into the 7th inning.
Our bullpen got us again.
Joe, I told you, karma after what you said about the Mets in game number 1.
We're coming off an NLCS and a World Series appearance in back-to-back years, though.
That's fair.
That NLCS was an all-time disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
How terrible. And for the second time today, time is called.
You can see the wind is blowing a dust of some dirt from behind the plate.
Now, can you imagine if we had to score baseball from right behind home plate like we do softball, or call it from right behind home plate?
No.
That would be rough.
That would be rough.
That would be rough. 1-2 the count on Vigliotti, and they will check on Burkhead at first base.
But you will have to be there tomorrow for softball. Dolphins have a doubleheader at the softball complex.
Everything will be set up here at baseball. Won't have to do anything here, so that'll be nice. We're going to leave everything powered on, laptops slightly open, everything charging in case. As Vigliotti hits one the other way out to right, and the catch is made on the move by Jones. And Nick, for the first time all day, the ball didn't really seem to carry that well there.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it. Vigliotti was trying to take advantage of it. Obviously, we know that he can hit the ball into right field. I've said it a numerous amount of times, but that one hit it into right, and it just seemed as if that one didn't carry as much as the other ones have. And Jones was able to track it down for the second out of the inning.
2 away in the home first inning. Burkhead the runner at first. It'll be left to Chris Polomini. And Polomini takes up and in. Throw behind the runner. Not in time. Want to know the count? Runner going. Throw to second, offline. And that was a good job to prevent that ball from going into center field by Ascona.
But now put Dolphins with a runner in scoring position. We saw Polomini get a couple RBIs in game number 1. A single here into the outfield would bring home Burkhead from second and give the Dolphins within a run.
Pitch on its way. And that misses out of the zone. Polomini ahead 3-0 here. With a base open, I'm not sure how aggressive Randolph will be. Thomas Martin stands on deck. And Polomini swings 3-0 as that's fouled off and out of play.
I was going to ask, too, you said how aggressive Randolph would be in that 3-0 pitch. I was going to say, would Polomini be aggressive on a 3-0 count and try to swing away? And he did right there. That one going foul now, making the count 3-1.
Well, the way he's been swinging the bat, I don't mind that at all. And I'm sure he needed to get a green light from the dugout in that spot as well. But with a runner in scoring position, why not let your leading hitter take a shot to try and drive him in? Count 3-1 now. And Polomini takes ball 4.
So Thomas Martin now comes up. Go ahead run for the Dolphins. Got the tying run now at first base. Anything into the gap could bring home both of those runners and tie this game for CSI.
Martin in the early game was 1 for 4, 2 runs batted in, a run scored. Comes to the plate with 2 on base here in the first, his team trailing by a pair. Quickly Martin ahead 1-0 as that breaking ball missed well out of the strike zone. Randolph comes set. 1-0 pitch on its way, and that's way downstairs. Aggressive base running by Burkhead, and he is safe at third. How about that?
I did not think he was going to be going on that ball in the dirt. So heads up base running from Burkhead gives the Dolphins out first and third in this scenario.
Very aggressive base running there by Burkhead on the wild pitch.
It was like maybe a slight hesitation from Burkhead, too, on that play. But after the slight hesitation, he immediately went into third.
Now, you saw the catcher giving signs there. That's Anthony Burgos behind the plate here in Game 2. You think the Lions are concerned about the Dolphins trying to induce a rundown between first and second?
I think they're saying, in case of anything, the shortstop maybe cuts it off, just in case they try a double steal.
There he goes. That's chopped to third, and it gets through into left field as that was booted by Greenidge. Running on the play and able to go first to third was Polomini. Martin is on following the error. And the Dolphins have cut the Lincoln lead in half. It's now 2-1.
I mentioned earlier on in this inning that the error certainly plagued the Lions in game number 1. Already an error here in game number 2, allowing the Dolphins to get on the board and now make this a 2-1 game.
The Lions had 6 errors in the early game, and that one hurts as they had a 2-0 lead and a chance to get out of the inning. with Polamini over at third. Is it a matter of if Martin runs or when to try and get that run down? Because they did have the swing sign on for Martin in a 2-0 count. That may have been a hit and run. I think what it comes down to is there a point where you're willing to take the bat out of the hands of one of your hitters in the middle of the lineup? Weigel ahead here, 2-0. And he takes ball 3. How about that deke behind the plate by Burgos?
Certainly saved the run there with that scoop, but we saw Polamini earlier in the inning, 3-0 count, swung away. I don't know if I would see Weigel doing it here. The chance to load the bases.
3-0 the count on the CSI third baseman. And Weigel takes a strike. Weigel still ahead 3-1. Martin has stayed put over at first base. And Weigel takes ball 4. Now, doesn't this look familiar, Nick?
I was going to say, it does look very, very familiar. Anthony Cetera comes up with the bases loaded once again. Now, that scenario was tied at 1, and he cleared the bases with an RBI 3-run triple. Does it again, he'll give the Dolphins once again the lead.
The Dolphins, in Game 1, trailed 1-0, tied the score at 1, and then Cetera plated 3 with a triple after Shepard nearly made the diving catch in center field that just got by him. Big spot here for the CSI second baseman, and he takes high for ball 1.
And for Randolph, he has no room for error right here. Cannot walk or hit the batter. With the bases now being loaded, a tying run now at third, still at third base. Cetera looking to deliver for the Dolphins.
Randolph now at 23 pitches. Should have been out of the inning. Comes the 1-0. That's fouled off. The error at third makes every run scored in this inning unearned. I don't know how close the play would have been at first had that ball been handled, but certainly one that Greenidge should have had at third. Went straight through his legs. 1-1 the count on Cetera. Dolphins hope to capitalize further on the Lions' error. Randolph comes set, and the pitch on its way is taken low and outside. Cetera in the driver's seat now, ahead 2-1. Get the sense here, Randolph has to throw a strike. 2-1. Not close. Randolph now 1 ball away from walking in the tying run.
This could be the spot right here for Cetera. If there's something good down the middle, he could swing away and try to bring something into the gap.
3-1 the count on Cetera. And that pitch is nowhere close for ball 4. Third walk of the inning for Randolph. And Michael Palermo will be the batter.
So Palermo comes up, still bases loaded, and 2 away. And he'll have the opportunity now to break even the tie game that we currently have.
Our scoreboard operator was in here getting a phone charge, or someone let him know he's got to change that score. Count 1-0 on Palermo. And that gets by to the backstop. as that will give the Dolphins the lead. Martin comes in to score on the wild pitch, and CSI goes in front 3-2.
That error now looming more larger than ever in this inning. Randolph was an out away from getting out of it, and now it's since then a couple of walks, now that wild pitch, and now the Dolphins have a 3-2 lead. And once again, Joe, after the Dolphins trailed early on in the top of the inning, they answer right back in the bottom of the inning, and they now have the lead for the first time. So Palermo will now have second and third, 2-0 count. First base now open for the Lions here. Palermo would certainly love to deliver and bring home those 2 runners.
And that one nearly got away again, as for a second time, Burgos tried to deke.
And it just seems as if Randolph has lost some of his command as well as this inning has prolonged.
I think he got frustrated by the error. Has not been the same pitcher since. That's ball 4.
Now batting the shortstop, number 2, Nico Rodriguez.
Now the question is, does he get another batter?
There is action up in the Lion bullpen.
Pedro Santos getting warm for Lincoln.
And I would think he gets... Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to... No, never mind. He was just picking up a ball that was still behind him. But I think with the righty-righty situation you have coming up, you keep him in. But I think if something were to get hit into the gap and Rodriguez brings home all 3 runners, then it might be a short leash for Randolph in this game.
I'd be inclined to agree with you. I think if he gives up a gapper that clears the bases, maybe they let him get out of the first inning, and that's all. But if you're Lincoln, you had a 2-run lead in a 7-inning game against a pitcher who has been the Dolphins' top arm this year, and that lead is already gone due primarily to an error. And I think first and foremost, if you're Lincoln, you really have to clean things up in the field. It's been a mess today with the 7 errors in 9 innings plus. But the good news is they put runs on the board. They scored twice in the first inning of this game, scored 7 times in the first game. Obviously, the Dolphins scored far more than that.
And for Randolph also, obviously, has walked a couple batters in the inning. The show will attend to an issue in the other room. So for now, we'll have Rodriguez up. Count is 1-0 on the Dolphins shortstop. Trying to break this game open for CSI, give them a potential 6-2 lead with something into the gap. 1-0 from Randolph. That one in there for a strike, evens the count at 1. Welcome back, Joe.
Just had to attend to a computer issue next door. The computer is deciding today to play quite a few notification sounds.
Thought you were about to say tricks for a second.
We can't have that during at bats, so we have to mute it. It's only one press of a key, not a big deal, as that's taken up and away. The bases loaded for the Dolphins here. It looked like the Dolphins were going to be turned aside in this inning. And with that error at third base, everything changed. 3 runs have since scored. And a base hit here could put CSI ahead by as many as 4. Rodriguez ahead 2-1, and he sends that one foul.
And since the error that's happened at third, Randolph has walked 3 straight batters, too, which has been a problem as well. I got to think, Joe, his pitch count's got to be over 30 pitches now in the inning, no?
He started this at bat over 30 pitches. One and 2 is off the outside corner. Randolph has walked 4 in the inning, and you have to think if he loses one more to a walk, his outing is done. Here comes the 2-2, and that's ball 3.
So now the runners will go on this next pitch, 3-2. Randolph trying to avoid another walk in this inning. And if Rodriguez gets on, the Dolphins will bat around as Michael Keogh will be up on deck.
Comes the payoff pitch. And that's chopped to the right side. Hit slowly. Handled there. And the underhand toss is in time over to first base. Nicely done on that play by Azcona to stay with it. And the Dolphins will settle for 3 in the home first inning. CSI strands the bases loaded, but they take the lead as we head to the second. Staten Island 3, Lincoln 2.
The legacy began in 1973. That was the year NCAA Division II was born. And since the very first day, our division has shaped generations of student athletes with a true sense of academics, athletics, and community. That is 5 decades of graduations, championships, teamwork, and personal development. 50 years of shaping student athletes into world-class leaders. NCAA Division II. Our division, our legacy.
Top half of the second inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. And Nick, these two teams staying true to form. We saw a very high-scoring Game 1, 5 runs on the board in the first inning here in Game 2.
And only 3 hits so far for these two teams, 2 for the Lions, 1 for the Dolphins. The Dolphins took advantage of a mistake made in the field from the Lions with that 1 error, and they also were able to work a couple walks in that first inning, now having this 3-2 lead here going into the top of the second.
It was more than a couple, Nick. It was 4. And with just 1 base hit, it takes quite a few of those walks to put 3 runs on the board. And it just seems like that error really sent that first inning into a very bad place for the Lions. Took some time to recover from it.
And the fact that the go-ahead run was scored on a wild pitch. That one went over Santos. Rodriguez couldn't make the barehanded play. That's going to be an infield single for Akil.
Sometimes it takes some breaks going your way to turn a game around, and in the case of the Lions, to potentially turn a doubleheader around. And bounces like that certainly help, as they have 3 hits off of Gerard Santos in the first inning plus. And we'll see what the decision is here as to whether or not the Lions will bunt.
And I would think in this spot they might. We saw them bunt in game number 1 a couple of times. And most of those came with 1 out. Obviously, with no outs in the inning, the tying run at first base, you want to get him into scoring position as well. And you see Weigel at third. He's all the way creeped in. He's ready to make a play on any bunt attempt. But they do swing away, so it's 0-1.
There are 2 factors that come into the equation here. The first is the runner you have on first, as that ball is hit well deep to left field. Does it have enough? It does not, as the catch is made on the warning track by Burkhead for the first out.
A long out number 1 in that inning. And we've talked about the win a lot today, Joe. That seemed to have played a factor in that ball being caught in left field, because I thought off the bat that might have been a home run.
Off the bat, Burgos thought it was a home run. Not quite. It's the wrong day to hit the ball to left field. I think any other day that leaves. But the wind certainly killing foul balls to left, helping them out in right. We saw a home run to right field in Game 1. And we've seen a couple of bids out to left, but nothing yet clearing that left field fence. At the plate here, Josh Shepard. Runner on first is Akil. That pitch is in for a strike. Shepard was 1 for 4 in Game 1. Despite the fact that an out was recorded on that last one. So that's chopped to third. And they'll settle for 1. I think the Lions have to be pretty happy with their swing so far in this game. Perhaps their best one, resulting in an out right there on the previous fly ball to left field.
Yeah, they've done a good job, especially on Santos, who's really not a. You mentioned his numbers. It's not easy to hit against Santos on the year. Obviously, we saw a different scenario against Mercy, but that's a Mercy team that we mentioned a bunch of times. Has had some really good offensive numbers to start their young season, and for Santos, he has to quickly bounce back against this Lions team. He gave up 2 in the first inning, but 1 out away now from giving his team an opportunity to extend their lead.
Runner going on the pitch. Throw to second. Not in time. It's a stolen base for Josh Shepard. And the Lions have a runner in scoring position.
So Agramonte now can get a single into the outfield. He will tie this game at 3 apiece.
This at-bat becomes a much bigger one now. And I think something you need to keep in mind is that's lined to right, and it's down for a hit. That should tie the score as it gets by Palermo and rolls all the way to the fence. Agramonte heads for third, and he is in standing as he will be credited with an RBI single followed by a 2-base Dolphin error.
And that's one where even if the stolen base wasn't recorded, the run would still have scored on that error in right field. And it's now a 3-3 game here in the top of the second. Tough break for CSI right there. And now a chance for Lincoln once again to take back the lead. It's Alex Jones, who we mentioned in game number 1, had a home run. Now has another RBI opportunity right here. Trying to give Lincoln a 4-3 lead.
Well, that error could prove costly if Jones comes through with a hit in the spot. And as I was about to say before that hit, with the game being only 7 innings, each at-bat with runners in scoring position, that much more important. And I think it's more about how the pitching will be managed in a game that's only 7 innings long versus how much time there is in the game. 2 innings is consequential, as that's hit sharply on the ground to second, and the Dolphins almost spiked that throw straight into the dirt. But Vigliotti scoops it. My point being that in the 7-inning game, teams are going to manage their bullpen far differently, and you might see option 1 and 1A out of the bullpen much sooner in a 7-inning game than you would in a 9-inning game. Just something to keep in mind moving forward. As the Lions get even in the road second, our score knotted up at 3, with the Dolphins coming to bat for the second time after this. Home second inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins and the Lions are tied at 3. Lincoln took a 2-0 lead. The Dolphins answered with 3 in the home first. The Lions quickly get even on a 2-out RBI single by Miguel Agramonte. And Michael Kehoe was nearly hit by that pitch, had to duck out of the way.
He was showing bunt on that first pitch, but as you mentioned, had to duck out of the way. He's up early in the count, 1-0.
1-0 on its way. That's chopped foul. Kehoe was 1 for 3 with 2 walks in game 1. He was retired to open this game. Comes the 1-1. That's hit on the ground to third. And Kehoe is retired for the first out.
Now batting the left fielder, number 23, Brian Burkhead.
That will bring up Brian Burkhead. Burkhead is 1 for 1. Singled his last time up. Pitch on its way. And that misses well inside. I think for Randolph in this game, a lot of it's going to come down to throwing strikes. And we say that quite often when it comes to the command of pitchers. Typically early in games, we see this much more often from pitchers at this level. Early in starts, they really seem to find their rhythm if they're able to escape the early troubles brought upon them by walks. Watch out. And Nick, that was headed right for me if it didn't hit the backstop. Oh, boy.
Good thing we have the windows closed.
Please. I've caught enough foul balls. No more.
What's one more souvenir?
And the 1-1 is lined right back up the middle into center field for a base hit by Burkhead. And Brian's headed for second. The ball was bobbled in center, and that is great base running by Burkhead, as he will take second on the error in center field.
Burkhead's had some good base running so far in this game. If you remember, he reached on third base, go from second to third on a wild pitch. That didn't seem like he could be able to reach third. Shows up base running once again, and now gives the Dolphins a chance for A.J. Vigliotti to give them back the lead here.
Vigliotti comes to bat with Burkhead in scoring position and 1 out. A.J. is 0 for 1 at the plate in this game. He looks at a first pitch breaking ball high.
Vigliotti flew out to right field, and one that we thought maybe would drop down for a base hit considering the way the ball's been hit into right field today. But that one, not so much. Caught by Jones in right field. Vigliotti looking to give the Dolphins back the lead.
And Vigliotti looks at strike. Randolph comes set ahead of the 1-1. And Vigliotti takes a breaking ball for strike 2. Randolph ahead of Vigliotti, 1-2. Hasn't worked from ahead in the count much in this game. Pitch on its way, and that breaking ball misses outside.
Randolph trying to get him to chase on that one. A little bit of an off-speed pitch on that outside corner. Count out even at 2. Got a 2-2 count for number 22.
With a runner on second.
In
the
the
Dolphins
second.
have 2 hits in the second. Lots of 2s. As Vigliotti fouls that one away, and we'll do it again, 2-2. Long look in from Randolph here. He checks the runner at second. And that's fouled away again. Vigliotti continuing to battle at the plate. Looking to give the Dolphins the lead for the first time in this game, or I should say, for the first time since the end of the first inning. Seems like an eternity, Nick. As that's a good breaking ball from Randolph in for a called strike 3. Vigliotti didn't like it.
He thought that was a little bit on the inside. But nice off-speed pitch from Randolph right there. Huge second out recorded by him. And it's going to be up to Polamini to try to get the Dolphins back the lead.
So Polamini comes to the plate without an official at-bat in this game. Drew a walk his first time up. Burkhead still stands over at second. And that is ripped foul.
Just by a few inches. Polamini missed that one from going fair.
Polamini behind 0-1. Thomas Martin on deck. Once again, first base is open. As Polamini lines one to right field, and it is caught on a line by Jones, who is right there waiting, and the side is retired. Dolphins strand the go-ahead run at second base, and we head to the third, even at 3. G Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information. Third inning from the CSI Baseball Complex with the Dolphins and the Lions tied at 3. It's a big win for CSI in Game 1. Lincoln struck first here in Game 2. The Dolphins led briefly before the Lions tied it. It's been an eventful day from the CSI Baseball Complex with plenty more to come. As that bounces to the backstop, and the count evens up at 1-1 on Jalen Greenidge.
As you mentioned, still plenty more to come up here this week, as we still have 2 more between the 2 teams tomorrow.
It's grounded to short. Rodriguez has it. Throw across the diamond in time as Vigliotti stays on the bag.
Just got him at the very last second.
That would bring up Jaden Greenidge. So one more review for those who weren't with us during Game 1. Tomorrow, I will be down at softball. Noon start against Queens College as the Dolphins host the Knights in conference play. Back here at the baseball diamond, same time at noon, baseball will host Lincoln again. Games 3 and 4 in this 4-game set. Both games tomorrow will be 9 innings. So I will be down at softball. We would expect that based on how things normally work out, softball would probably finish at about the 1/3 mark of the baseball game if it's 9 innings. So what we'll do is we'll try a minimalistic setup down there. We'll try and wrap up quickly, and hopefully I can get up here before the midway point of the baseball game.
I think we'll manage.
I think the next step is to try and make as much of the system down at softball wireless as possible. As that misses for ball 4, and Jaden Greenidge is on with a walk. That will bring up Wesley Hogan.
Shortstop number 10, Wesley Hogan.
Wesley Hogan almost had a home run in game number 1. Had that 2-run double into right field. That just took a 1 bounce off the fence.
It's about that time, Nick. The lights are going on here at the baseball complex.
Do see the shade coming out, so getting into that portion of the day.
It has been a very, very long time since I called a true night game here at the baseball complex. As Hogan sends one into the left field corner, that's down for an extra base hit. Headed for third is Greenidge. He is there standing. And it's a 1-out double for Wesley Hogan, as the Lions now have 2 in scoring position with just 1 away.
Another big hit from Hogan right there. It's another extra base hit to his tally here today. And almost gives his team back the lead, but now gives them second and third, still 1 out in the inning. And they now have a chance here to take a potential 5-3 lead. Dolphins infield will come in.
Hogan's put some really good swings on the ball today. And what do you think about the infield in here, Nick? Do you do it this early? 7-inning game?
I
You
would. I think you've seen what you've gotten so far on the other side from Randolph. And the Dolphins only have 2 hits, and those 2 hits are only from 1 player. They were able to take advantage of some walks, but they need to do something else in terms of hitting.
And there's a great play by Rodriguez to stab that ball. And he has really flashed the leather on the infield today. A tremendous day defensively for the freshman shortstop.
And that's why you have the infield in, Joe. If not for that, the run would definitely have scored
No
if
doubt.
they played normal depth. So great job by the Dolphins defense, especially Nico Rodriguez, to get that out recorded. We'll get a replay after this next pitch, but a huge second out for CSI right there.
And to be clear, I wasn't questioning the infield in.
No, I know.
As that's it out to right. And the Dolphins should get out of this as the catch is made by Palermo for the 3rd out. So Gerard Santos strands 2 in scoring position, helped by a great defensive play at shortstop from Nico Rodriguez. We remain tied at 3, headed to the home 3rd.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Home third inning from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins and the Lions still tied at 3 as that breaking ball sails over Thomas Martin's head for ball 1. Martin 0 for 1 at the plate. The next 3 Dolphins all walked in their first at-bat. Weigel, Cetera, Palermo behind Martin. Comes the 1-0. And Martin lines one through the right side for a leadoff hit. Martin takes an aggressive turn and stops at first. And Nick, you gave me that look. 33 with the third Dolphins hit in the third inning.
I was going to say.
How about that?
In a 3-3 ties game.
Wow.
Everyone loves that number 33.
And now the third baseman, Vincent Weigel, comes to the plate.
Now we're pushing it.
And I think Vincent might have had 3 hits in game 1.
He did.
He did!
That number can't escape us right now.
Now, if only it was the third time this season he did that. As Weigel looks at a strike. It was the first time, Nick. It was the first time. Too bad.
Too bad.
Weigel behind 0-1 here. Long look in from Randolph as that's grounded foul just wide of the third base bag. Weigel in a 2-strike hole. Martin, the runner at first. Still nobody out in the home third inning. Martin with a huge lead as that's grounded toward the middle. Tough hop handled, and I'm shocked they flipped it as we have a collision at first.
That did not look pretty. And you hope Weigel is okay.
Yeah, the legs of Weigel and the first baseman Greenidge got tangled up, and Weigel remains down.
I can see why you were saying you were shocked, because I thought also
I was shocked they flipped the ball to second.
I thought he was going to step on the bag easily.
Yep. Weigel remains down, and they'll check on him. As play is obviously stopped here. The lead runner is out on the play. The throw was not scooped at first, so Weigel was ruled safe, assuming he stepped on the bag. Weigel has not even tried to get to his feet here. Weigel obviously running hard down the first base line. Looked like I would presume his left leg caught the anchoring leg of Greenidge at first base. And now Weigel will jog down the right field line a bit. Taking a look at that flow, Nick, if anyone was going to lose their hat or helmet to long hair, it might be Vincent.
Yeah.
He's got the flow going. And he's going to stay in the game.
It's a great sign to see for CSI, him staying in.
Well, neither player appeared to do anything wrong there. Greenidge was just playing first base with his foot anchored to the bag. And I think Weigel's foot just strayed a bit into the baseline, and that caught the heel of Greenidge, but they exchange pleasantries as Weigel takes his position over at first base. Both players okay, and Anthony Cetera will be the batter. Anthony Cetera at the plate, looks at a first pitch ball. Weigel, Cetera, and Palermo all drew walks their first time up, as I mentioned before. Palermo on deck with Cetera batting here. Comes the 1-0, and that misses high for ball 2. Cetera ahead 2-0 here. Long look in again from Randolph, who delivers a breaking ball for a strike.
So Sotero get that big hit for the Dolphins. Game number 1, we mentioned it earlier, that bases clearing 3-run triple. Would love to get on base here. Try to put Weigel into scoring position. Now the count's even at 2.
Two balls and 2 strikes to count on the CSI second baseman. Weigel the runner at first, 1 out in a tie game. Big pitch here for Randolph. And that's chopped toward the middle. Another chance for 2. They flip for 1 and throw to first in time for the double play. Nicely done by the Lions infield as they retire a pair to bring the home third inning to a close. Our score through 3, tied at 3.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we're back from the College of Staten Island for the start of the 4th inning. Once again, this is a 7-inning game between the College of Staten Island and Lincoln University in East Coast Conference play. And after a lopsided Dolphins win in Game 1, we have a good one here in Game 2.
And we've seen both teams have their opportunities these last couple of innings to break even. That we have the current tie at 3-3, but to credit both pitchers, they've been able to work themselves out of their respective jams.
We do have some bad news that came in between innings.
Oh, no.
And that bad news is regarding the weather next week.
Oh.
So we have a pair of early week softball doubleheaders on the schedule. It is not looking good for either one of those. As that swung on and missed by Anthony Burgos for strike 3.
It's supposed to rain on both days?
It's supposed to rain, I believe, Monday through Thursday. Possibly. With Tuesday and Wednesday getting the worst of it.
I see it now, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not looking good for early week softball next week. And I'm not sure how many makeup dates they have left.
Already had to make up a couple so far. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Obviously, we hope for the best. That being said, if they do try and play as that's bunted toward the mound by Shepard, handled easily by Santos, who throws him out for a quick out number 2. But should they try and play with inclement weather in the forecast, we're going to have to audible in terms of how we intend to broadcast the game. Now, we had a setup planned for last season in such situations where we would put the mixer in the front of our cart and then sit in the back and call the game with the cart backed up against the fence. We don't have a cart this year. So I don't see any way we could call a game in inclement weather. Now, if we covered a laptop, there might be a way to get audio only in, and we could do it that way. But if there's rain in the forecast, we cannot put the camera outside. So we'd have to see. Miguel Agramonte at the plate here is ahead 1-0. He's 1 for 2 at the plate with an RBI base hit his last time up. And it looks like Gerard Santos has himself a quick 1-2-3 fourth inning. Easily the best inning on the mound for the CSI starter. His team will come to bat in a tie game after this.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
And we're back for the home fourth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. And we do have a quick correction from the last half inning. Gio Morales was the player who laid down that bunt, trying to pick up a hit. He was thrown out by Gerard Santos. Morales pinch hit for Josh Shepard, who was the starting center fielder. And Shepard is now out of the game. Morales takes over in center field. Showing bunt was Michael Palermo as he looks at a ball. But Nick, you and I touched on it ahead of the last break, brainstormed a bit during the commercial. If there is rain in the forecast and they try and get those games in, we'll have to go audio only. And if we go audio only, as that's bunted
That
foul.
was a weird attempt. He bunted and kind of swung a little bit.
He bunted it straight down.
It looked like he swung the way he hit it.
It was a half swing, it appeared, but
Yeah.
it was definitely a bunt attempt. He had
Yeah.
his hand up on the barrel.
But going back to your point,
I think the only way we could cover a game in the rain is if we went audio only to YouTube, as that's hit out toward left field where the catch is made. So
you're
what we'd
saying-
have to do in a situation like that, I think it's the only way it could work, is we'd have to put up from the office a video feed to the ECC network, and that feed would redirect people to the YouTube channel for that particular game if it was raining.
it's been a while since
We've never had to do that. We've
No.
never been in that situation.
Right. I was saying, when was the last time any game was broadcast on the Sportsnet page?
Well,
on
I
YouTube?
did the Florida games there
Oh,
because
right.
they were audio only.
Right.
I think next year we're bringing a camera down because I saw quite a few cameras. None of those cameras were being used for live streaming, but they certainly weren't stopping anybody from setting up cameras.
I was going to say, is that like a...
Technically, those
prohibit?
games are available on
On a
Flow
different-
Sports,
right.
Flow Softball. I'm not the biggest fan of Flow Sports. They've made it very difficult for me to stream games for my business, so I'm not so inclined to follow the rules.
Right.
Though in my professional capacity, I probably have to follow the rules.
Joe Foreman, the rule breaker.
Well, let's not talk about that.
I don't know what you're referring to. I'm just saying in
Well,
general.
let's not go down that road.
I won't.
Anyway, I don't think anyone would stop us from video streaming those games.
I don't think so either.
That being said, I have no idea where the camera would go. There is not a good spot for a camera. Now, if I bring the wireless setup, I could probably put one behind the outfield wall, but that would be the only view. So, we'd have to see. Show up with the camcorder and the wireless transmitter next year, and you never know. as Nico Rodriguez draws a one-out walk.
Now that's the catcher.
However, as I was saying, I think the only way to make the stream work would be to go audio only via YouTube with the mixer set down next to us and our microphones plugged into an iPhone. So we'd stream to YouTube from the iPhone with our mixer's output going into there. The question is then, where do we set up the mixer? Where are we covered?
I don't know.
Do we try and call the game from the baseball press box? That would be a wild experience. Can you see straight to the field clearly from the window? Can you see everything from up here?
I think you can. Yeah, you could.
During the break, we'll take a look.
You could definitely get the infield. The outfield, like, you might not be able to see maybe in, like, one of the... Actually, I don't even know. You might be able to see a decent amount of the outfield.
That would be an experience, to say the least. But we'll talk more about that later in this game if it gets out of hand. We have a good one here at the baseball diamond. Though once my mind gets working on something, it's hard to pull me away. It's 2-0 on Michael Kehoe, and he takes ball 3.
That's like how I was bringing up that tailgate earlier. Now I got your mind thinking about maybe not coming.
That's a good point. I need coverage for Saturday now. You tailgating Sunday?
I have no idea if we're doing both days or not.
Okay.
I have to, that
How early are you arriving?
I don't know that either.
Okay.
When I find out more details, I will definitely keep you posted.
You also need to do something that I haven't done either. I looked into it very briefly, didn't find much. You need to check in on the parking situation. If you do not pre-purchase parking, you might not be able to park at all.
Yeah.
So check in on that. Because at the Royal Rumble, they did sell out parking, and if you did not purchase ahead, you could not park on the premises.
We didn't do that for when we went in January, right?
We did not. That's a Monday Night Raw.
But that was different, though.
That being said, the Phillies are not in town, so they have that parking lot to work with as well. Either way, you do not want to be walking the streets of Philadelphia on a Saturday night. Just like I did not want to park in the streets of Tampa on a Sunday night or a Saturday night whenever I was there. That's not an area you want to be walking around, to put it mildly.
I'll take a note of that, but
yeah.
I'll definitely look into it.
Yep. Philly has some great baseball, not necessarily an area that I'd like to walk around.
Fortunately, not good today.
No. As now Brian Burkhead is ahead 2-0. He's 2 for 2 at the plate. You said it before, Nick. Before the Martin base hit, Burkhead had the only 2 Dolphin hits in this game.
You would certainly love another hit right here. Go 3 for 3 and break the 3-3 tie.
Wouldn't that be coming full circle? 23 is now 3 for 3 with his third hit. We had all those 2s and all those 3s. They come together here in the person of Brian Burkhead.
He's got a 2-1 count still. Still ahead of the count.
And now it's 3-1. Wouldn't it be so fitting if the count ran to 3-2?
The way today's gone, I would not be very surprised if it did happen.
3-1 the count on Burkhead. Pitch on its way, and that's grounded to first, handled there on the backhand. And the throw to first is wide, and the Dolphins will take the lead. Another costly error by the Lions has put the Dolphins in front 4-3. And they did have a play at first, Nick. It was going to take a perfect throw. It was going to take a very strong throw. And perhaps it was a bit rushed. And the throw got away as Greenidge made the stretch. Burkhead beats it out. And Rodriguez comes in to score the go-ahead run.
Well, that's one of those tough double plays you turn at first base. Greenidge obviously wants to get the double play forced. He got the ball, threw it to second base, but that's one where he has to quickly, after throwing the ball, he has to go right back to the bag to try to turn that double play. And by the time he got back, the ball unfortunately went offline, and CSI now has the lead.
Well, that run is going to be unearned as Vigliotti quickly flies out to center field. The side is retired, but not before the Dolphins take the lead on another Lions error. The third Lincoln error of the game on a throw to first puts CSI in front 4-3.
My path to a college degree would have been completely different had I not run Division II cross country for the University of Mount Olive. Having an athletic and academic scholarship was key for my success. Our coaches were really helpful with balancing out my academics and athletics. I decided to attend graduate school because I wanted to become an athletic director. Receiving the postgraduate scholarship through the NCAA provided me with the flexibility to choose the school that I wanted. So now I know that I can accomplish any goal that I set for myself.
Alex Jones will lead off here in the top of the fifth inning with the Dolphins now leading 4-3. As the CSI team taking advantage of a third Lincoln Lion error. That now gives CSI a 4-3 lead in the fifth of the second game of this doubleheader. That one chopped to third. Long throw from Weigel to first base in time. A nice strong throw from the Dolphin third baseman to record the first out of the inning. I'll bring up Jalen Greenidge with one away. My broadcast partner Joe Foreman will be rejoining me in just a little bit. Had to attend to an issue. For now, I'll be on the call. I'll also be on the call for tomorrow's doubleheader between these two teams. 2 9-inning games between the Dolphins and the Lions, as they will wrap up their 4-game series between them. CSI taking game number 1. Having the lead here, game number 2. As Greenidge swings and misses on that one on the outside corner. He's now down to count 1-2. Santos' last inning of work got a quick 1-2-3 inning. That one line into left center field. That's going to drop down for a base hit. Polamini will cut it off as Greenidge takes the wide turn from first base. But he's on with a 1-out single. And the Lions now have the tying run at first. And that'll bring up Jaden Greenidge now. 6th hit of the game now for Lincoln. As they'll check the runner at first base. Huge opportunity right now for Lincoln to get back into this game, a tie at 4. As once again, Greenidge is back in safely. You have Jalen Greenidge at first. Jaden Greenidge is up at the plate. That one hit into left, but it'll be shallow enough for Burkhead. He'll make the play. Greenidge will tag back to first base. And there's now 2 away in the inning. So a long out number 2 on that shallow fly ball into left field. I'll bring up Wesley Hogan. We're now 2 away in the inning. We've seen Hogan with a couple of extra base hits so far in these 2 games today. And another one right here could potentially tie the game for Lincoln. He's quickly down the count 0-1. As Santos will once again check Greenidge at first. He's back in safely. The 0-1 drilled into left field by Hogan. With that one going foul, and the count goes to 0-2. So Santos now a strike away from getting out of the 5th. They maintain this 4-3 lead for the Dolphins. He's got a quick 0-2 count on Wesley Hogan. The 0-2. That one in there for strike 3. Santos gets Hogan down looking to retire the side. As the Lions strand one runner on first here in the top of the 5th. We head into the bottom of the 5th inning. Dolphins lead this one, 4-3.
As a student athlete in college, I first got involved with the NCAA at the national level. It was through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC, gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of all student athletes, to affect change and to make an impact. The NCAA is giving the student athlete a platform to voice their concerns and to be able to advocate for what's going to affect their well-being. The policies that are being put in place are speaking towards academics, they're speaking towards well-being, they're speaking towards fairness, creating a culture so that the student athletes have the best experiences possible.
And we're back for the home 5th inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. I've had a lot of water bottles to drink today, that's all we'll say. As the Dolphins will bat, leading by 1.
I didn't know you were going to bring that up.
Couldn't help myself.
Okay.
Jaden Randolph still on the mound for Lincoln. He's settled in nicely since a really tough start to this game in the first inning. Didn't look like he was going to get out of that inning at one point, but was able to work his way out of a tough jam. Did surrender the 3 runs, all of those unearned. He's actually allowed 4 unearned runs in this game.
I was going to say, those errors are looming large right now for Lincoln. That's the big reason why the Dolphins have this lead.
If the Lions lose this game by a run or even 2, that has to be just a killer for them.
It's certainly demoralizing.
Because they were routine plays that were botched. One of them was the ground ball to third. And you can understand why they tried to turn that double play aggressively and make a strong throw to first, but you can't let the go-ahead run score like that. Dolphins, meanwhile, committed an error earlier in the game. Did not pay for that one. Gerard Santos stranded 2 in scoring position. And he seems to be getting stronger as this game goes on. Now, I missed that last half inning, but it was over pretty quickly.
He did give up a one-out single, but was able to get out of it once again, and you should mention very quickly, to retire the side and keep this a 1-run lead for CSI.
Dolphins have just 3 hits in this game, yet they still lead. And I've jinxed it. They now have 4.
do they have 3
Chris
hits?
Polomini with the 4th Dolphins hit. He's now 1 for 2. And Thomas Martin, who is also 1 for 2, will come to the plate here with a man on and nobody out.
Before that last hit, he had the previous Dolphin hit with that 3rd hit of the game. But Polomini gets on. So Dolphins try to extend their lead here in the bottom of the 5th.
I must say, Nick, I went out there for about 2 minutes, and I'm feeling it. I came in a lot colder than I left. Very thankful to be up here in the press box as the Lions will talk this over. Now, do the Dolphins consider a bunt here?
It's tough because you have a guy like Martin that has the power ability to drive something into the outfield for something in the gap. But you also have to realize with a one-run game, you want to obviously give the Dolphins an opportunity to extend the lead and give Gerard Santos a more comfortable cushion as we get later on into this one.
We've seen over the years that the Dolphins are willing to ask any player to bunt, as we are going to have pitching change. Hilbert Nina De Leon is the new pitcher, or at least he has come out of the dugout, and he will indeed take over. So Jaden Randolph is done. And
you have to feel for him too, because
really tough luck for him.
He pitched a really solid game, and if not for the errors, the Lions would be on top. And that play at first base, I wanted to get back to that too. That's probably the toughest double play you can turn in all of baseball, because it's one where the first baseman has to throw it to second base and then has to make his way back to first in time to get the out from the shortstop or the second baseman, whoever's covering second at that point in time. And they tried their best. He tried his best to get back to the bag, but by the time the throw was thrown from second base, the runner was already safe at first. So it's really a tough break for Randolph, but there's still time for his team to tie this game, but they need to first keep it within one run.
And I think for Randolph, obviously the errors really hurt him in the start, but it all began with the walks. And it was a really tough start for him in terms of command in that first inning. And with those walks he issued, he put his back against the wall. And ultimately, it cost him 3 runs, in part because of the error.
I think four unanswered walks right after that error that gave the Dolphins their first run.
Well, if we go back to the play-by-play as the new pitcher was just introduced, so we have some time. We go back to the home first inning. He got the first out. Burkhead singled, and Vigliotti flew out to right. So there were 2 outs with a runner on first. Burkhead stole second. Polomini walked. Burkhead then advanced to third on a wild pitch.
Yep.
Martin reached on the error. The run came home. Weigel walked. Sotero walked. Another wild pitch. Advanced the runners and scored a run. Palermo walked to reload the bases, and then finally Rodriguez grounded out.
3 straight walks.
Yeah. Yep. I'll try and get you the numbers on Nina De Leon in just a moment.
So after having a high-scoring Game 1, and it looked like we were in store for that here in Game number 2, both pitchers settled in, and now we have a 4-3 game here at the bottom of the 5th. So it's been a bit of a pitcher's duel now here in the second game of this 4-game set. And Thomas Martin obviously would like to break open this one-run contest if he can get something into the gap for the Dolphins.
Numbers for Nina De Leon on the season: ERA of 9 across 2 appearances, both in relief. In 3 innings, he's allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, all of those earned. He has walked 2, has not struck out a batter, opposing hitters hitting an even .500 against him. And that pitch is not close as it bounces in well outside, blocked very nicely behind the plate by Burgos.
Burgos has had to do that a bunch of times in this game so far. He has some good stops behind the backstop to prevent the runners from moving into scoring position.
Well, if you're the Lions, you do not want to advance the runner to second on a wild pitch. Make the Dolphins earn it. And if you're Martin, don't chase as he takes high. Martin ahead 2-0 here. Neither of the first 2 pitches have been close from Nina De Leon. The runner gets a huge jump, and Polomini can walk to second. Wow. You don't see jumps like that ever if you want to get a replay of that, Nick.
Yeah, he left before the windup even started.
They didn't even give him a look. And it only took him 2 pitches to time Nina De Leon up, and there he goes. And they have no chance. He didn't even need to slide. As Polomini now has stolen second and third. Martin has not had to swing the bat. He's ahead 3-1. And we'll see if the Lions bring the infield in here. Doesn't look like it. That's fouled away. Nina De Leon is slow to the plate, Nick. And I think that's part of the reason why Polamini felt good about taking off like that.
Yeah, he's been able to take advantage of that slow windup. Now puts himself at third base. He gives Martin an opportunity with a sacrifice fly to bring home the run.
And I think when you have a pitcher who's thrown just a few innings on the year coming in, inheriting a runner, you'd like him to get comfortable if you're the Lions. The Dolphins making sure that didn't happen as they immediately swipe a couple of bases, draw a walk, and now Vincent Weigel bats with runners on the corners and nobody out.
I wouldn't be surprised if with that slow windup that we mentioned, if Martin maybe steals second base to potentially lead a rundown that could bring home that runner from third.
Personally, I could see him trying to straight steal second, but for the purposes of a rundown, I don't know. And Martin will steal second without a throw. So I think the purpose there is take away the double play.
Right.
So it makes sense. And when you have a pitcher who struggled to manage the runners with a slow delivery.
And plus, they wouldn't throw it down to second in that spot because you don't want that runner from third to make it a two-run game. But now a single here could bring home 2 runs to give the Dolphins a 3-run lead.
Comes the 0-1. And that slice toward the right field corner, but well foul. So Weigel is behind 0-2. This would be a huge strikeout for Nina De Leon if he could get it. He comes set. Comes the 0-2 pitch. That's outside. Dolphins with a huge opportunity to potentially break this game open here. They already lead by a run. Just 4 hits for CSI in this game. And that's chopped over to second. That'll get a run in. Throw to first in time. And Weigel is retired on the ground out. Polamini scores. And CSI leads 5-3.
Well, Weigel did the good thing for the Dolphins because obviously in that spot where you have second and third, nobody out, the Dolphins needed to score a run. Cannot waste an opportunity like that. So Weigel able to get that ground out, bring home the runner from third, and he advanced Marv to second and third, so it gives the Dolphins another opportunity on a potential ground ball to bring home their 6th run of the game.
Well, Nick, if it were me, and it's easy to say now, and I'm not sure what would have happened if the infield was in, but this late in the game, with 2 in scoring position, I probably have the infield in there because Martin advanced to third on the grounder anyway.
Right.
So you're not keeping him at second base by having the infield back. So the Lions would concede another run on a ground ball to a middle infielder. And if you're Anthony Cetera, you're just looking to put the ball in play here.
Right.
You'd have to think Martin's going on contact.
And that just shows that the Lions, they believe they have the faith that they can get back to Gerard Santos after the previous 2 innings have been very quick for him.
Cetera now ahead 3-0. Michael Palermo would be next. (3-0) in for strike. Palermo waiting on deck with Cetera ahead 3-1. That's fought off foul. And we'll do it again. The book is closed on Jaden Randolph. Get you his final line following this next pitch. Count now full on Cetera, 3-2. Payoff pitch on its way, and that's chopped to second. Cetera gets the job done, and there are 2 away in the inning. Nick, the infield's in there. He's out.
Yeah.
There's no run.
I'm confused as why they had the infield back on those 2 ground balls, because we could still be in the spot where the runner is still at third base and it's second and third with 2 outs. That could very well be the case right now.
I think the first one was hit a bit harder. That doesn't change my mindset. The way this game has gone, I have the infield in, personally. And I think when you look at the way the Dolphins played it earlier, they brought the infield in early in the game.
Right.
When you see your opponent play that aggressively early on, I'd almost think you'd be more inclined to do the same, especially later in a game.
And now that looms, that's even bigger now for Lincoln, because you go from being down 1, now you go into the final 2 innings of this game. You have 6 outs to go, and now you need 3 runs to tie the game. So giving up those 2 runs is tough for the Lions right there.
It's popped up in foul ground, and no one gets there.
Almost a collision, thankfully. Nothing to that chagrin, but
that's a great show of confidence in your offense, keeping the infield back with 6 outs to play with. I'm not even sure that in a 9-inning game, you don't bring the infield in there.
Especially considering that we're pretty much halfway through. Yeah,
I think maybe for the first run, you play it a little safer. But even then, if you're going to bring the infield in with 1 out, you have to bring it in with nobody out. There's a reason that we get paid to be up here and not down there. See if it pays off for the Lions. They have out-hit the Dolphins 6-4.
They haven't really seen much action from the Dolphin bullpen either. So
no. See if we can get the pitch count on Santos. I didn't forget about the line on Randolph. Just haven't had an opportune moment. We'll take that opportunity here. For Randolph, he went 4 innings plus, allowed 5 runs, only 1 of those earned. He allowed 4 hits, walked 6, and struck out 1. 84 pitches for Randolph. Santos will enter the 6th at 76. Count remains full on Palermo with that last foul ball.
And I think that Palermo might have hit Burgos on the hand with his bat. Burgos is a little bit shaken up and is looking down at his hand.
On a day like today, that one hurts. No thank you.
No.
Count 3 balls and 2 strikes on the CSI right fielder. Nico Rodriguez stands on deck. And it might be a bit easy to forget, but that play he made earlier at shortstop was a big one. Comes 3-2. That's fouled straight back.
That was the aforementioned play we mentioned earlier where the Dolphins had their infield in.
Yep.
If not for having their infield in, that would have brought home a run for the Lions.
3-2 the count on Palermo. Time was called as play resumes. Another 3-2 pitch on its way. What are we doing? They are taking shots at clearing the top of the backstop. That one would have headed into the room to our left, but we don't want any foul balls up here.
No.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. It's kind of like hitting practice. Like maybe they have like a cardboard cutout of one of us. That's where they aim the ball towards.
They have my CSI Sportsnet fathead with a big red bullseye on the ribs.
The ribs.
Palermo draws the walk, and Nico Rodriguez will be the batter. Rodriguez is 0 for 1 in the game. How many pitches before Palermo tries to run? 2?
Yeah.
Times up the first and then takes off?
He might go on this pitch, honestly.
He might.
Look at the lead he's getting. Well, he'll get to second base now.
And that's an errant pickoff. Palermo might take third here, and he will hold at second. Now, there is a control for an errant pickoff, and Steph knows it. FPO.
FPO.
Now, I don't think they credit an error if you put that in. Okay. So the FPO is just a label to let everyone know it was a failed pickoff. Though if the ball's not put in play and there's an error on the pitcher, there's only one thing it could be, unless he went rogue, as the runner's going and the throw to third is not in time. Well, Nina De Leon has had no grip on the running game since coming in. In terms of base hits and in terms of the Dolphins putting the ball in play, he's done exactly what the Lions could have hoped.
Dolphins again got a big lead and were able to steal third base easily.
And that's a walk that immediately turns into a runner on third base. In no time. 2 pitches. Well, 1 pitch, actually, with the errant pickoff.
We were trying to guess at when Palermo would steal, and he didn't even need a pitch to go on.
And we've seen in the past how out of control things can get when teams are able to run on you at will. I forget which doubleheader it was, but it was, I believe, last season. The Dolphins, I think they were hosting East Stroudsburg, and the Warriors just ran on them nonstop for the entire 9-inning game, and the Dolphins had no answer. I think that was the game. And when you can't control the running game, it is so difficult to, 1, avoid becoming demoralized, and 2, to stay in a game. Because if you allow a base runner, that base runner immediately ends up in scoring position.
Right.
And it's just so tough to pitch like that and to win a game when that's happening. 2-2 in the dirt, and the count runs full.
Yeah, think about it. Technically, we were right. I mean, he technically stole in the second pitch of the at-bat. Stole at third base.
Well, he stole on the first pitch. The next pitch he ran, right?
The second, it was a 0-1 count, so the second pitch he stole.
Joe Stradamus strikes again, I guess.
Yeah. Take that one.
Take the moral victories. Let's see who calls it. And it will be the shortstop, Hogan, that makes the catch. And the side is retired. But not before the Dolphins score twice and extend their lead to 3. We head to the 6th. Staten Island leads 6-3. And we are back from the College of Staten Island, where the Dolphins now lead it by 3 runs. Our score, Staten Island 6, Lincoln University 3. And the way Gerard Santos has been pitching these last few innings, you have to think, if you're a fan of the Dolphins and on that bench, that 3 runs might be enough in this game. And Santos very easily could go the distance entering this inning at just 76 pitches.
I think the only issue for him, Joe, if you look toward the Dolphin bullpen, they do have a pitcher warming up in the bullpen. I'm trying to see the number.
It's Michael First.
So I saw Michael First actually warming up at the end of game 1, too. So he might come in to pitch to pitch the last inning of this game. But the Dolphins obviously would love to have Santos finish off this game and get through 6 innings without having to use that first reliever of this game, now leading by 3 runs.
Well, if you get through 2 games in a doubleheader using just 3 pitchers, even 4, I think that puts you in a pretty good spot. Now, obviously, in these 4-game series, the starting pitching depth for teams really gets tested. And in a series like this that's played over the span of just 2 days, your bullpen depth is tested even more. As that's chopped to third, tough chance for Weigel, and he airmails the throw. As that will end up in the bullpen of the Lions. And just like that, Lincoln has the leadoff man on second base. Now, capture that replay for us, Nick. Did they have the out at first with a good throw?
I don't know.
I think it was a tough chance, as I said. That's probably an infield hit. An error on the throw allowing Jeffrey Ascona to take second base. How close would it have been? Let's see. You could slow it down and pause if you want to.
So that's where he fields the ball.
Can you give a hit on that?
I don't know if I would give a hit on that.
It was a dribbler. Well, officially, no hit has gone on the board yet, and I think with where he was when the ball was fielded, I think he had him, Nick.
I think he was halfway down the line. I mean, I could replay it again, but he was pretty much.
What matters is where he is when the ball is fielded. I can't really see it that well.
So for instance, that's where he fields the ball. You're looking at the screen. That's where he fields it.
That's an error. That's not a hit. It's not a hit. He was less than halfway down the line.
No.
I think once Weigel fielded the ball, that takes away any opportunity for scoring that a hit because he fielded it cleanly and the throw was airmailed. The runner would have been out by a wide margin. There's a swing and a miss there.
That was strike 3.
And that was strike 3 as Hassan Akil goes down swinging.
Well, think of it also in this scenario, too, where we mentioned last half inning where the Lions allowed 2 runs to score after not having the infield in. That's big now considering where we're at this point in the game because if they left the infield in and maybe got out of the inning and kept it 4-3, they'd have the tying run in scoring position right now. But now again, we can't really tell if they would have gotten out of the inning. It's still, that's near hair or say. It's obviously easy now to say that after what happened in the inning.
I'm not sure they would have, and I'm still with you, Nick. I was very surprised they didn't bring the infield in. But with that being said, that ball that was hit, the first ground ball.
That would have been tough.
I think that one was hit by Martin. The second one was hit by Cetera? Or was it Weigel and Cetera?
It was
Weigel and Cetera. Weigel and Cetera.
I think you would have to make a quick reaction to the one that Weigel hit.
Yes. And I'm not sure that they're able to make that play. The second one, they definitely would have made the play.
Yeah.
The first one, I'm not sure. It would have been a tough chance at second.
It would have had to been,
but it was hit in the right spot.
Right. It would have had to been what Rodriguez did. It was pretty much a quick ground ball to second base, and on that one for Rodriguez is obviously the short. But you'd have to make a quick reaction to make a play like that to avoid the run from coming in. And for the Dolphins, thankfully, Rodriguez did that earlier on in this game. And
that was a huge play.
Now it comes down to can the Lions at least trim the deficit or potentially tie this game in this inning. They already have 1 out, and it's a 2-2 count here now for Santos.
Well, if you recall earlier, Burgos made a bid to put the Lions up by a bit more. And here he gets one off the fists, and Rodriguez is there at short to make the catch.
A soft hit blooper into left center, but Rodriguez was there to make the out for the second out of the inning. So after giving up the error to start the inning, Santos now 1 out away from getting out of the inning and giving his bullpen a chance to get the Dolphins a win.
Burgos needed just a bit more on that ball, as that misses inside.
And obviously, if you're Santos, too, you do not want to bring the tying run to the plate in this spot either. So he would love to get out of the inning, keep it 6-3.
Second at-bat of the game here for Gio Morales. He tried to bunt for a hit last time, and he will drive in a run in his second plate appearance. Morales headed for second. In to score is Ascona, and it's an RBI double for Gio Morales as Lincoln is back to within 2 It's now 6-4.
And they now will bring that tying run to the plate on that RBI double from Morales. So the Lions are still not done yet. It's now 6-4 here in the top of the 6th. And for now, they'll keep Santos out there after giving up that RBI double. But I would not be surprised, Joe, if this is probably his last batter of this game.
If he doesn't get Agramonte out, I think there's a good chance this outing is over for him. Agramonte 1 for 3 in this game. Behind him, Jones is 0 for 2. That's something to keep in mind. Behind Jones, each of the next 5 Lion hitters have a hit against Santos. So those are some numbers to keep in mind moving forward. As that's hit up in the air, back behind the plate, and Kehoe will run out of room. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Agramonte has already driven in a run in this game. Has also struck out. That last hit was number 7 for the Lions. Santos has walked 2 and struck out 4. This next pitch will be number 92. And that's lined into left center field for a base hit. In to score from second is Morales. Headed for second is Agramonte, and he is in standing with an RBI double. And Lincoln has cut the lead to 1 as Gerard Santos will see this outing come to an end. He came to within 1 out of getting through 6, but Santos will give way to Michael First out of the Dolphins bullpen as you get one more look at that RBI extra base hit by Miguel Agramonte. And Nick, we're here talking about whether or not the infield should have been in. All the while, Lincoln is now back to within a run. Their offense has come through here in the 6th.
And I think also we talked about the confidence that they had in their team to get back into this game after surrendering those 2 runs. Now they get 2 runs back here in the inning and again make it a 1-run game. So high drama spot as well because the tying run now is still in scoring position at second base. And Michael First, it will be a big out trying to record here to get the Dolphins out of the 6th inning.
We'll get you the numbers on Michael First in just a moment. He comes in a big spot out of the CSI bullpen. And First on the season comes in with an ERA of 16.88 and a whip of 2.81 across 4 appearances, all in relief. In 5 1/3, he has allowed 9 hits and 11 runs, 10 of those earned. He has walked 6 and struck out 5. Opposing batters hitting at .429 against him. So First, looking for a bounce-back effort here. He inherits the tying run at second base. And when play resumes, Alex Jones, who homered in Game 1, will be the batter. And Nick, this probably the biggest spot that First has come into, at least in any game we've covered here on Sportsnet. Now I'll have to go back and look at his season stats to see if he got into that game against Mercy late. And he did not. He last pitched nearly 2 weeks ago against Chestnut Hill. So First, coming in very fresh, has not seen game action in nearly 2 full weeks.
And comes into a big spot, as you mentioned, obviously with the runner at second base. Alex Jones, we did mention, has not gotten a hit in this game. But we know he had a home run in game number 1, that opposite field home run into right field. He represents the go-ahead run for the Lions, has the tying run in scoring position, and they've rattled off a couple of extra base hits in this inning with 2 outs to now once again make this a 1-run contest. So huge at bat for both these teams coming up.
Huge spot in this game, a pivotal at bat, as they say. It will be Alex Jones coming to the plate. He's 0 for 2 in the second game. Had a nice Game 1, including the home run. It was a solo shot after the game had been decided. This game hangs in the balance. 2 away in the road 6th. And Jones takes all the way, or at least it appeared that way. I think he got dust in his eyes as the wind swirling kicked up some dirt. And I don't think Jones took that pitch all the way. I think he wanted time. Either way, it's ball 1. First comes set. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And that swung on and missed as chalk and dirt continues to swirl around home plate.
Yeah, it's not easy to bat at home plate when you have that coming up and hitting you in the eyes. It's not an easy task for any batter.
Comes the 1-1. There's a big swing and a miss. And you can see it, Nick. First is throwing hard.
First, obviously, you mentioned, he's had a long rest since his last time he pitched, but he's one strike away from getting the biggest out of the entire day so far.
Absolutely. Here comes the 1-2. And that is swung on and missed for strike 3. How about that for Michael First? He comes out of the Dolphins bullpen and sets down Jones on just 4 pitches. A couple swings and misses, and the Dolphins escape the top half of the 6th inning with the lead. The Lions strand the tying run in scoring position, and we head to the home 6th with the Dolphins looking for some insurance in front, 6-5.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
And we're back for the home 6th inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, with the Dolphins now leading by just a run as Lincoln gets 2 back in the road 6th. They chased CSI starter Gerard Santos. I'll get you his final line. For Santos in 5 2/3, he allowed 5 runs, 3 earned on 8 hits. He walked 2 and struck out 4. Michael Kehoe will lead off for the Dolphins here in the home 6th. He's 0 for 2.
That one hit down the third base line, foul. Dolphins at the top of the order leading off in the bottom of the 6th. Now this being, once again, Joe, a 1-run game. And the Dolphins once again trying to add some insurance.
Man on deck, Brian Burkhead has 2 of the 4 Dolphin hits in this game. Polomini and Martin each have 1. Returning to the mound is Hilbert Nina De Leon. And I said it before, Nick, outside of managing the base runners, Nina De Leon pitched perfectly fine in the previous inning. It was managing the runners. They ran rampant on him. He got the 2 ground balls that the Lions could have been hoping for. As we mentioned before, they kept the infield back. They did score twice. And are now within a run. As the 2-1 pitch is on its way. And that's swung on and missed.
Looked like Kehoe maybe was a little bit behind on that one. It's tough to time those pitches sometimes when you have a very slow windup, trying to wait for that ball.
Count even at 2-2. And that's nowhere close. And I think a lot of the time when it comes to walks, and I say it all year long, but non-competitive pitches kill you on the mound. That's a pitch that there's no way you're going to get a swing at, and it's nowhere near the strike zone as Kehoe draws the walk. Well,
did the plug go outside? That's got to be what it is.
That has to be what it is. Let's take a look here first. All right. It's something outside. Nick, you take over. I'll head outside.
Okay. Oh, Joe just came back on. Never mind. It just came back on.
What is going on outside?
What is going on here today?
The wind perhaps rattling the antennas a bit?
Well, I remember on the last time we had a doubleheader with both the softball and the baseball team playing, they did the same thing, and the wind actually knocked out the plug somehow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I was stunned by myself.
So Burkhead, who's 2 for 3, was showing bunt on that first pitch. And if you're the Dolphins, do you try and steal second before bunting and then bunt Kehoe to third? Do you just run no matter what on this pitch?
I think I would.
I think you show bunt and take off. Burkhead almost hit by the pitch, and he was.
I think, yep.
Well, that works just the same. Plus, Burkhead stands over at first.
And now, look at where you get to the top, get into this lineup. You get Vigliotti coming up with first and second, and I think that's going to lead to a pitching change.
I think you're right, Nick. And I think if you're the Lions, you would give Nina De Leon a base runner in this inning, and then after that, I think the move was probably to go to the bullpen, because if Kehoe was allowed to steal second and then get bunted over to third, that extra base you concede in the running game really hurts. Now, I'm not sure he's coming out, Nick. And I said it already. The balls the Dolphins have put in play against him have been non-threatening. Nina De Leon has not allowed a hit yet. The 2 ground balls were pretty weakly hit. So when he's forced the Dolphins to put the ball in play, he's done a fine job. It's been managing the runners and the command that has been lacking so far.
And he'll need to get the ball in play right here and force a potential double play and try to stop this rally the Dolphins will have here in the bottom of the 6th as they try to extend their lead for realistically for whoever closes out in the 7th inning.
So Nina De Leon will remain in the game. A.J. Vigliotti is the batter. He's 0 for 3. Has struck out once in his 3 at-bats. Comes to the plate here with 2 on and nobody out. The Dolphins looking for some insurance. And they will throw over to second. Now, what you certainly can't afford to do is have another pickoff sail on you.
We saw that in game 1.
We saw it last inning.
We did, true.
But that throw was not close to the bag and easily could have sailed into the outfield. And you could see Kehoe dancing off second. Really has to be distracting as that goes to short and they get 1, but that's it.
That's a good play by the second baseman to hold that ball because
yes, I agree.
We've seen a bunch of times where some of these players will try to force double plays. That one, they had no chance to get that play at first base. So good heads-up play at second. Hold on to that one. Keep the double play ball in effect for Polomini coming up to the plate for the Dolphins. But nonetheless, it's a huge out number 1 for Lincoln, trying to keep this a 1-run game.
Now how do you play this, Nick? Corners in?
I think you just keep the defensive alignment in.
The entire infield then?
No. I think you just keep it the way you have it.
Keep it the way you have it?
I think I would just keep it, try to get a double play ball.
Because if they hit one to a corner infielder, I don't think they're doubling up Polomini. It would have to be hit pretty hard.
It would have to be a quick ground ball.
I don't think they're doubling him up on any ground ball to the corner infield.
But you can see it. They're playing.
Do you consider bunting for a run here?
Maybe on this next pitch, maybe the next 2. but
I don't think they'll have a bunt.
I think with Polamini's bat, well, I couldn't make my point. I was going to say with Polamini's bat, you have to give him an opportunity to swing, but.
Yeah, I didn't think they were bunting. I was just throwing out the hypothetical.
Yeah.
As that will prompt a pitching change, and Polamini took that one. Looks like
in the back,
the upper back, yeah. Man, I forgot all I learned in anatomy class, but the bone in your upper back, the protrusion. Is that the scapula? Yeah, I'm asking the wrong guy.
You're asking the wrong person.
We need some help from Google. I should know this with all the weightlifting I used to do. Yeah, that is not the scapula at all. We have the pitching change coming on for Lincoln in just a moment. It was passed along. Hassan Akil will come in to pitch. It is not. It is not him.
Yeah. Well, let's wait a second.
Getting false information from the stats desk. We can still play some music. It's okay. It is not. That's 34.
Yeah. Daryl Husband.
All right.
I believe he came in the last game as a pinch hitter.
He did. Several Lions got into pinch hit late in that game. So now I'm determined to figure out which bone is in the rear of your back. The shoulder blades.
Okay.
What are they called scientifically?
Why you keep asking me?
Because I wanted you to Google it.
This man thinks I can answer the question for him. I'm just here so I won't get fined.
It's all right. We're going to figure it out. How about that? It is the scapula.
Oh.
All right.
All right, Joe feels.
I didn't forget everything.
He feels vindicated.
Now, I will say, that diagram
what is that?
was very, very misleading. So, now that we're looking, there is the scapula. That is indeed the shoulder blade. Now, you see that.
It looks like a hatchet.
It does, when the entire anatomy is pieced together, it does look like a hatchet. It kind of does, yeah. Now, do you want to hear about what happened when I went hatchet throwing?
I don't know if I do.
I was in Dave & Buster's.
That's already a bad story.
It wasn't a real hatchet.
No, I
Let's just say that
Pat
that. Fleming was like a marksman out there, dropping the hatchet in the bullseye.
Oh.
I was slamming the handle against the wall. So it wasn't working for me. Didn't go well. Thomas Martin, the batter, 2 in scoring position, make it 3 on base. 1 out in the inning.
I see what you were trying to do there. 3 on base for number 33.
Well, to be honest, Nick, the window pane was blocking first base, and I forgot that Polamini was hit by the pitch, so he's on first. The bases are loaded with 1 out. Martin ahead 1-0 here, and a chance to break this game back open in CSI's direction as Martin fouls that one away.
And now, if you notice how the Lions are playing here, third base is moving in just a little bit. Obviously, a weak ground ball to third could force the throw to home, and then they try to get the double up at first base. So it could be a potential 5-2-3 double play for Lincoln if that were to happen.
Well, Husband has pitched this year. He's appeared in 6 games. That actually leads Lincoln on the year. He's pitched to a 9.64 ERA with a 1.93 WHIP, a record of 1-1. In 9 1/3, he's allowed 12 hits, 11 runs, 10 earned. He's walked 6 and struck out 8. Opposing batters hitting .343 against him. As the 2-1 misses low for ball 3, he's now 1 pitch away from walking in a run.
There's no room for error either, as you mentioned, with the bases loaded. Martin has an opportunity to get the walk and bring home the 7th run for CSI.
Comes the 3-1. And that misses for ball 4. And the Dolphins go in front by a pair now. It's 7-5.
I think Husband thought he had a strike right there on that one.
He did. He certainly thought he did.
Just missed it, looked like, on the outside. Second time the Dolphins bring home a run on a walk. And they now lead 7-5, so still have a chance to get more insurance runs in the inning. Still only 1 away. And now Vincent Weigel comes up.
Across 2 games for the Lions today. 10 errors and 10 walks. It is very tough to win when you have 10s in both of those columns. That being said, they have doubled up CSI in the hit column in this game and are trailing by 2 runs.
And to think, if they can get out of the inning and keep it a 2-run game, they're still very much well within reach.
Very much in it.
Of tying this game.
They need a double play here. And that won't do it, as that's going to fall in right center field for a base hit. 1 run is in, and heading home is Polomini with a second Dolphins run. It's a 2 RBI single for Vincent Weigel, and CSI now leads it 9-5.
Dolphins need that hit more than ever. Weigel gets a nice blooper into right center field for the 2-run single. And the Dolphins, after surrendering 2 runs and making it a 1-run game once again, they now have answered with 3 in this inning. They now have a 4-run lead here at the bottom of the 6th.
Well, the Dolphins now with a much bigger cushion. Lead it by 4 with 3 insurance runs here in the 6th. And Anthony Sotero will come to the plate with a chance for more. Runners on the corners, 1 out. As that one is sliced foul. And you have to think at this point that the Lions just aren't comfortable playing their infield in. They are still playing at regular depth in a 4-run game with 1 out.
They're still looking for that double play ball.
They might have it. Takes a tough hop at the end, and that will cost them any chance to turn 2. Now, something else to keep in mind, Nick. I didn't think of this before. Do you think perhaps they didn't want to play the infield in? Well, actually, they had second and third, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I was thinking maybe the threat of a stolen base. They didn't want to concede the stolen base.
Yeah, it was second and third with still nobody out.
It wouldn't matter with second and third.
Yeah.
So, scrap that. As the Dolphins go in front by 5 on the ground out. Credit the RBI to Sotero, though I should say it was a fielder's choice rather than a ground out on the ground ball, to be more accurate.
Dolphins now, Joe. 26 runs scored in these 2 games today combined.
Well, the offense has certainly been there. That being said, as the runner goes, and the ball was dropped behind the plate, so it's a stolen base for Sotero. The bats certainly came to life on Sunday in Dobbs Ferry. Here today, they had the big game 1. In this game, just 5 hits. But they've worked with what they've been given. And today, in this game, that has not been many pitches to hit here in game 2.
And they had a lot of hits in that game 1, too, considering that they only have 5 in this one. Really shows that they have been able to work the count a lot in this game. And have also obviously have taken advantage of the errors that have been made by the Lions in these 2.
Straying off of second there was Sotero. Two and 1 the count here on Michael Palermo. That swung on and missed.
And that was strike 3.
They had the count right.
Wow, Steph.
Steph
was startled. Okay.
Now, to be fair, the umpire did signal the count, and that led us to believe that it was incorrect. So we had the correct count, and the inning is over. The Dolphins score 4 times in the 6th. They now lead it by 5. It's Staten Island 10, Lincoln 5.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby.
Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela burns it. An incredible finish by Holmes.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Seventh inning from the CSI Baseball Complex as the Dolphins look to close out a doubleheader sweep against Lincoln University. Michael First back to the mound for the Dolphins after he picked up a big strikeout in the sixth. And he came out dealing, Nick. He was throwing hard.
And he got a huge strikeout in that spot, too, considering it was 6-5 at that point for Alex Jones with the runner in scoring position. Again, that strikeout was all important, considering now the Dolphins now have a 5-run lead.
That's grounded to first. Bobbled by Vigliotti. Tossed to first. And diving head first into the bag there was the runner, Greenidge. And he's out. One away in the seventh.
And for First, this is actually an opportunity for him to get a save, considering the scenario that he came into the game.
That is correct.
It was a 1-run game when he came in.
Now, does he get the save even though we went up by 5?
I think it technically counts because it was. I think it's really comes back down to the scenario that you came in.
He might get a hold. I don't know if he gets a save.
I don't know if it is or not.
I'll tell you right now. Power of Google.
A 4-out save, but it's a 5-run game. Is that?
We'll find out in a minute. I don't know if he gets it.
I thought maybe he could because of it being a 1-run contest when he came into the game.
Okay. So he has to preserve his team's lead while doing one of the following. Obviously, he entered with a lead of no more than 3 runs, but this can't. It's not a save if you don't finish the game in that situation. That's a hold.
Right, but it doesn't. It shouldn't be imperative on him for his team scoring extra runs.
Well, he issues a walk here.
Right.
And drawing that walk was Jaden Greenidge, and that will bring up Wesley Hogan. You know, I don't know if you can get a save. I don't think you can if your team goes ahead by 5 in the last inning. I'm fairly certain you cannot.
Even if it's a 1-run game going into the
when you came in, I don't think so. Though according to this, if you entered the game with a lead of no more than 3, you can. And if you finish the game and preserve the lead, I think you do get it based on this. I've never had to think about that before. Perhaps I owe some saves.
You're saying you've not credited some people with saves before?
Ooh, how about that bounce?
That took a weird bounce, yeah.
It hit off the top of the backstop again.
Nope.
Based upon the definition of a save here, a relief pitcher recording a save must preserve the team's lead while doing one of the following. If you enter a game with a lead of no more than 3 runs and pitch at least 1 inning while preserving the lead, you get the save. That being said, it does not say that this must occur at the end of a game. Under these circumstances, it would have to occur at the end of the game.
Right.
Because multiple pitchers can preserve a lead of less than a run and not finish the game. Oh, here it is. It says it up here. So finishes the game for the winning team. So it would be a save, which means I probably owe some saves.
I hope anyone that hasn't gotten a save before in this type of scenario feels vindicated by that ruling.
Now, how it typically works is you'll get in Stat Crew, it'll prompt you to award a save in a situation like this.
Right.
As that is swung on and missed by Hogan for strike 3, and the Lions are down to their final out.
Plus, it would be nice in the stat sheet. Now he has a save on the season if he gets it done.
Well, he will get a save in this situation, no doubt.
So First, looking for his first save, if he can get it done. 1 out away from doing it.
And the Dolphins are looking for their first conference doubleheader sweep.
Yes, they are.
They are 1 out away, as First falls behind 1-0 on Jeffrey Ascona. Ascona is 0 for 3 in this game. And that's on the outside corner for strike.
This really might be the latest we have, at least for me, that I've called the game here at baseball. It is really starting to get dark.
We used to have games in the past that started at 7 o'clock.
You sent me a game
6
yesterday.
or 7 o'clock.
Yeah. You sent me one yesterday that started at 7 o'clock.
That was a 7 o'clock start?
That was a 7 o'clock start.
Wow. We were watching one of the old Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night games. believe it was from 2019.
I think so, yeah.
That was weeks before I took over full-time for a year as assistant SID. That was probably about 6 weeks before I got started officially. I think I started June 1. 2-2 the count. Lincoln down to their final strike, and that misses high. Once again, tomorrow, we are on the air at 2 separate locations at noon. Nick will be here at baseball for the Dolphins and the Lions. I will be down at softball where the Dolphins take on the Knights. Runner going on the pitch as that is swung on and missed for the game's final strike. Michael First comes out of the Dolphins bullpen to record the final 4 outs. He secures a win for starter Gerard Santos and the Dolphins as they defeat Lincoln University by a final score of 10-5.
And the Dolphins offense came to play tonight, Joe. Getting 16 in game 1, 10 here in game number 2, and they only did it on 5 hits also. Obviously taking advantage of the 4 errors as well that happened in this game. But the Dolphins get some big conference wins now, going to 3-3 now in conference play. Still 2 more games to be played between these 2 teams tomorrow, but certainly the games that the Dolphins needed to try to get some momentum as we continue conference play.
And we spoke about it, Nick. The team that wins 3 out of 4, if there is one, puts the other team in a really tough spot moving forward. The Dolphins now pulled to within 1 more win in this series of taking 3 out of 4. They could potentially sweep this series with 2 wins tomorrow. We will see what happens. As I mentioned before, we are back on the air tomorrow at noon in 2 separate locations. Nick here at baseball. I will be down at softball. The Dolphins take on the Knights over at the softball diamond. The Lions and the Dolphins back at it right here at baseball tomorrow. But until then, this has been Joe Foreman alongside Nick Pavona on the call for CSI Sportsnet. Both of us will be back with you at separate sites tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for a potential McDonald's pregame show at one of those sites, maybe both, at 11:45 a.m. I can tell you, Nick, there won't be a pregame show at softball. I'll be scrambling and helping out on public address, so
I'll do my best here.
I'll be on over at first pitch down at softball. You'll be on here at baseball at around 11:45 between then and noon. We will see everyone back here on the ECC Network tomorrow for those games. Have a good night.